The day has finally come. Blizzard's big announcement stream has happened, and it's time to break down and see what important bits have been said. We're going to start off with the classic stuff. It's mainly a channel focused on that here, and if you are interested, we'll also talk about the new retail features afterwards. So, to nobody's surprise, Wrath of the Lich King Classic has been confirmed to go ahead following the Burning Crusade, and it will release in 2022. There goes my prediction of early 2023, and as per TBC you won't need to buy the game again, you'll just need an active sub. Now, as you will probably know, the Sunwell raid, the final phase of TBC, has just recently hit the PTR and undergone its first round of tuning. In Classic, more or less the timeline between every raid opening on the PTR and it reaching live is around 4 to 6 weeks. Testing began on the 15th of April, so if the timeline is true to its usual nature, we're looking at a release between somewhere from the 6th of May to the 20th. Now, I'm just going to make a prediction. After all, when have I ever been wrong? It'll be on the 6th. TBC Arena Season 3 is already confirmed to end May 3rd, much to the annoyance of pretty much every PvPer as far as I can tell. For real, people haven't even finished their Season 3 gear. Nevertheless, expect Sunwell around that date. As for Wrath of the Lich King's release date, we weren't given anything specific on that. If Sunwell drops early May and Wrath of the Lich King is September, that's already a 4 and a bit month final patch of TBC, and the way things have been going, I don't see it lasting much longer than that. It feels as though we're wrapping up the expansion and heading on over to Northrend at a rather fast pace. They have also confirmed some hashtag changes, some of which I would have bet against any day of the week. First up, Death Knights. They're going to be available in the pre-patch, which is great news. Very happy to hear that. I thought Blood Elf and Draenei in the pre-patch was a great move for TBC, and I'm happy to hear this as well. Though Blizzard do give us a longer pre-patch than 2 weeks this time around, that would be great. You no longer need an existing level 55 or higher character on your account in order to create a Death Knight. I talked about this a bit ago, and well, I was just a little bit concerned about how many DK bots there will be. The restriction was there for more than just roleplay reasons, but for the casual returning player it will be a good thing, I can't deny that. And Death Knights will of course start at level 55. And now for the big one. Let's grab a few lines from the reveal stream here. Dungeon Finder is not a good fit for our community. It was the start of what began to erode the sense of community, and they also essentially said if you want Dungeon Finder, Shadowlands has it, but we feel Classic's player base are a different demographic with different wants and needs. Ian just hit us with a go play retail. They did not, however, explicitly say what will replace it, whether it's an iteration of the existing Wrath one minus teleporting or auto finding, or the LFM from retail. We will have to wait and see on that. It's got to be a step up from whatever we have now at least. People are using an add-on over the current tool in Classic. Already I can tell this has been a pretty divisive decision. The cynic in me says they want to prove themselves right by adding it in a later patch and have people thank them for adding a quote-unquote retail feature to Classic. But hey, at least one positive out of it. At least Kata Classic won't have LFR then, right guys? Arena has moved to individual rating instead of team, something which I've seen in demand from PvPers. Hopefully this is good news because I've no idea about PvP, so there you go. The barbershop will have a few more options and won't charge real money for anything as well. I speculated a while back they would let you swap from male to female or vice versa for free. They added it as a feature at the start of the Shadowlands. But as for what these more options will be, don't expect a full graphical rework or toggles for appearances or anything like that. It will probably just be a few more styles they added before the character revamp in WoD. There has still been no mention of a paid faction change at this point in time. The level 70 boost, there it is. We all knew it was coming, not even 68 though, straight to 70. The rest of the boost packages are still to be confirmed. Also, no boost for DK, they start from level 55. Other features which are anticipated though have not also been explicitly mentioned include dual spec and a final patch balance release, though the no LFD has caught me off guard a bit, but I have to assume these two will still be there from the pre-patch. And that's all the Classic news. So Wrath release 2022, DKs in the pre-patch, you don't need a level 55, 70 boost, not for DKs, no LFD in Wrath, additional barbershop options, and personal PvP rating. So let's talk retail then. Dragonflight was indeed the correct expansion call as far as names go, though pretty much everything else I covered not so long ago from the leak was, well, it wasn't even close. The Dragon Isles have been reawoken and unshrouded, essentially calling dragons back in an urgent time of need and ushering Azeroth into a new era. There will be 4 new zones and 1 brand new leveling zone for the new playable race, finally not an allied race. This will be the Drakthea. Little is known apart from their looks at this point in time, but think of how Worgen have the dual you'll look with their humans and then their transformed appearances, but replace fur with scales. Use this information how you will, Goldshire roleplay enjoyers. The new race will also pick a faction, similar to how Pandaren did, but by this point in time there will be cross-faction play. Alongside the new race will be a new class. This is the first new class since a Legion, and amazingly that was in 2016. The new class is the Evoker, only playable as the new race. This is a male wearing caster DPS specialization as well as a healing spec. Their attacks are themed around the various different Dragonflights. Drakthir will also bring a new combat mechanic to WoW where you can charge your attacks and they reach different power levels, gaining more damage, or perhaps even different effects. You learn how to tame your dragon through dragon riding. As you grow in skill, you and your Drake will master new maneuvers, do dive bombs, barrel rolls, and so many different moves beyond just flying a straight line. It's Guild Wars 2 mounts, basically. I mean, people like mounts in Guild Wars 2, they really rate them there, so I'm not surprised Blizzard has taken a little bit from that. The UI is getting an overhaul and more customization options, which is okay. I feel like most people use add-ons at this point in time, but it's nice for players that don't or just want a bit more out of the game baseline. Professions have received quite a few updates in Dragonflight as well. Crafting orders allow you to request for another player to craft something for you, even if you don't have the skill or the right profession to do it yourself. You'll be able to browse through any recipe that can be crafted, pick the one you want for yourself, and then include some or all of the reagents needed for the recipe, including only the ones that you can get your hands on. They also say the biggest source of your ability to craft items at higher quality is through crafting specializations. Seems like they're having another go at making professions more relevant after they seemingly fall off very quickly during every expansion. And the final big point, Blizzard say we've heard you loud and clear on temporary power. That feeling of losing something going from one expansion to another is bad, and we don't want to do that anymore. For the first time since a Legion, they are taking a real look at moving power back into spellbooks and talent trees. They also brought up that the granularity of gaining 1 point and getting something as you do in Classic felt good, and perhaps that the changes in Mists of Pandaria started a step in the wrong direction. They also wanted to bring back the idea of you can spec across different trees for it to feel good and unique for what you want. To go over what they show here in the Druid tree for an example, there's a bit of a duality to it. They say one of the ideas that we've returned to was that of trees. In this case, it's actually 2 trees. One tree focuses on class utility, whilst the other focuses on specialization and the expression of your role, whether it's doing damage, tanking, or healing. We want choosing your specialization to be important and want to make sure that when you choose it, it affects the tree in some way. When you look at the new tree, you'll notice the class side will have some abilities filled out for free to get you started off in the spec you've chosen, but then you'll have your first point to spend in the tree, which could be something related to that spec, or it could be something from elsewhere in the class. We wanted to make sure the new system allows players to take combinations of spells and abilities that may not have been possible in the game before. This opportunity also allowed us to inject more art and fantasy into the actual talent UI itself. What they're describing here does remind me more of how things work in Classic. Then again, I have to think back to the start of Shadowlands when they were bringing back auras, totems and poisons and everybody was getting hype at that, and then it just didn't pan out in the end. There will be more news to follow, I'm sure, for both, but that's the major points of the roundup thus far. Let me know your thoughts on it for both games, and as always, thank you all so much for watching and listening in. I will see you all in the next one very soon.